Okay. All right, now I'm going to introduce our first speaker, Adam Peters. He's over here and he's ready to launch. Adam Peters is a St. Petersburg native, and he's the author of The Blueprint to Happiness. He's founder of Mind Map Renovations, where he helps aspiring change makers retrain their brains for positivity. Inspired by his late sister's mental health challenges, his work blends neuroscience with playful, practical tools that stick. He leads talks, workshops, and one-on-one sessions that make emotional intelligence both accessible and actionable. Whether emceeing events for or creating shareable happiness best practice cards, he's on a mission to make optimism a habit and a community project. Please welcome Adam Peterson.
Hello. Hello, Nerd Night St. Pete! It is amazing to be here and lovely to see your beautiful faces. My name is Adam Peters. I am a St. Petersburg native and longtime nerd. My credentials for that include writing Star Wars fan fiction at the age of 13. That's a true story. And of course, learning about neuroscience for fun. I had so much fun, I decided to make a career out of it. My company is called Mind Map Renovations, and my official title is Happiness Ambassador. So, with that said, I have a very important question for everyone here tonight. Who wants to be happy? Yeah! That is a lot of hands, which is good news. It means that 2025 has not crushed your spirit. Whoops, I'm off the rails. Go back. All right, we're to the point where 2025 has not crushed your spirit. That is really great news. That is a really good place for us to start, friends. And the thing about happiness is that it is different for everyone. Candidly, I don't know what makes you happy. And I'm so sorry if that's what you came here for. I don't know what makes you happy because your mind map is so unique to you. But I do know what is bad for happiness. Suffering, negativity, rumination. There's an ancient proverb that says, pain is inevitable, suffering is optional. And I believe this. Every single person in this room can attest to the fact that pain is inevitable. Whether it's stepping on a Lego 3 a.m. or losing a loved one, pain will find us. How we respond to that pain, that is our choice. Even though, oftentimes, it doesn't feel that way. Let's talk about why. Humans have survived for so long thanks to this thing called a negativity bias. It's our threat scanner. It means we're always looking for things that can hurt us. And it worked out really well for us for the first many thousands of years. But in modernity, this gets a little complicated. What it means is that if you have 5 good things that happen to you in a day, and I think that's accurate. I think a lot of good things happen in a day. And 1 bad thing happens, this is how your brain looks at it. Gives way more weight to that one thing. That's what you're going to bed thinking about. You can't stop thinking about it because the way that our brains evolved, it wants you to deal with that. Hit it with a club, run away, freeze, make friends with it. But so many things that we know about these days, we can do nothing about. Never before in human history have we had so much access to so much information. And while you may or may not have known about negativity bias before tonight, you know who does? Advertisers, TV executives, the newsroom. They know that negativity will capture your attention. So they put it in your face constantly. If we want to survive and thrive in this world, we have to evolve, my friends. That being said, there's a time and place for negativity. Bad things do happen. It makes sense in those moments to focus on the thing that is negative or dangerous in your life. But when that's not the case, we need to evolve. The iPhone turned 18 in June this year. It is just now old enough to vote. Conservatively, the human brain has been evolving for 200,000 years. We are way better at hit it with a stick than we are with let's focus on the positive. So it's no surprise that when the University of North Carolina studied this, yeah, they found most people have a negative mindset. For every one positive thought they have 3 negative thoughts. Now, what I found the most interesting about this study is that they found a small population of people that had the inverse numbers. For every 3 positive thoughts, they only had 1 negative thought. And those people were categorized as flourishing. They were observed bouncing back from hardships faster, and they had more creative problem-solving skills. This, my friends, is the fertile ground where we grow happiness. Because again, I don't know what happiness means to you, but I do know how we set the stage for it. And if you, like me, we're not in the fortunate few evolutionary outliers that have this natural positivity preference, there's hope, because your brain is plastic. The good kind, not the bad kind we're going to hear about later. We have this superpower called neuroplasticity, and we're going to talk about how many neurons you have in your brain, but before we do that, I need you to know that you have 2 parts of that neuron, a transmitting and a receiving end, kind of like a talking and a hearing end. And each one of these sides can grow or shrink connections based on how frequently or infrequently you do something. This is the physical mechanism that we have to change our minds, because right now they are wired to pay attention to that one bad thing that happens in a day. So that being said, I prepared 3 tips for you tonight that will help you increase your preference for positivity and get you going on your road to happiness. Tip number 1 is to know your mind map. This one is so important because your mind map is the lens that you look through for the rest of your life. It's how you see the world. And to understand this one, we got to go back to the beginning. Your beginning. You were born with 100 billion neurons. That is a lot of gray matter storage to fill up. And for the first 5 years of your life, that's exactly what you do. You grow your brain to about 90% of its full size in that first 5 years. And in terms of taking in information, it's just indiscriminate. Think about your junk drawer or your catch-all closet. That's what the data looks like in your brain as a 5-year-old. And then for the next 20 years, from the ages of 5 to 25, you undergo a massive reorganization project. And what that means is that your white matter increases. That's what connects the data, the gray matter. And you go through a forgetting exercise. You get rid of all the things that your brain doesn't think you need to survive adulthood, which is why you don't remember your uneventful 3rd birthday, but you 100% remember almost drowning at Adventure Island. That's important. You need that to survive. And at the end of that process, your mind map looks more like this. Like information is grouped together, associations have been created, it's faster and easier to recall that information, and this is the lens you will look through for the rest of your life. 2 more ages of note. Age of 7 is approximately the age that your personality solidifies. Do you know what that means? If you have not updated your mind map or your programming since the age of 7, you, my friend, may very well be a 7-year-old walking around in an adult body. And at scale, I think that explains a lot, don't you? Anybody 30 or under in the room? All right, yeah. Folks, your brains are still baking. Your prefrontal cortex is approximately fully developed by the age of 30. That's where your executive functions live. That's where you're planning and future casting and having outcomes relatively easy to predict based on your actions now. So if you're 30 or under and you don't have your stuff together, give yourself some grace. It's a marathon, not a sprint. Your brain's still cooking. So knowing your mind map allows you to make conscious decisions. Think about it. Your mind map was created when you were a child, when you had 0 control over where you were, who you were around, what you did, and negativity bias was in full play, and media was in your life. So if your mind map has gone unexamined into your adulthood, this is the time to examine, how did I get here? What are my beliefs? What is true now in my adult life? And if you need help knowing your mind map, you know a guy now. Tip number 2, do what you say. For this one, it's going to be really important to understand the connection and the relationship between your subconscious and your conscious mind. Your subconscious is a supercomputer. It processes 11 million bits of data per second. It is rendering your entire reality right now, down to the air temperature and the feeling of the chair under your body. It runs most of your life. It runs most of your life because the conscious mind can only take in between 40 and 50 bits of data per second. It's a huge bandwidth difference here. So subconscious has to decide, what am I going to feed up to the conscious for conscious consideration? It decides that based on what it knows about you. And your subconscious has been studying you your entire life. You're the most important and interesting thing to your subconscious, and it thinks that whatever you do most makes you happy. So if you, like me once upon a time, doom scroll for hours on end and are miserable, but still really want to do it, that's because your subconscious thinks because you do it most, you want to do it, right? But if you take a book outside under a tree and read in nature and you do that more often than you do anything else, your subconscious will prompt you to say, hey, there's a book right there. Hey, let's look outside. It's really beautiful out. It will start trying to get you to do that behavior. Now, if you say, I want to stop doom scrolling and spend more time in nature, but then you doom scroll all the time, you are not fooling your subconscious. Your subconscious is like, no, bro, you love this. You do it all the time. Let's do it some more. Where's your phone? Right? Like, it wants you to do that. So doing what you say aligns your conscious desires. I mean, we all have conscious desires. I want to eat better. I want to exercise more. But then we have behaviors that are in direct contrast with those things. When we align those things, that supercharges our neuroplasticity because it's a numbers game, right? And when we're out of alignment, that's when confusion and sometimes shame and guilt come into play. So aligning them is super important. Tip number 3, upgrade your vocabulary. Words matter way more than people give them credit for, and I have a little demonstration to show you exactly what I mean. So, in a minute, some words are going to pop up on the screen. And I want you to just pay attention to how you feel in your body and what emotions might be coming up, all right? What was that like? Ugh, awful, right? I don't know about you, but I hold my breath when I read this list, and I almost like wince like I'm expecting someone to punch me in the face. That's because your subconscious has coded every single word that you know as positive, negative, or neutral. It's a threat scanner. It wants to know, if I'm reading a list full of bad words, something bad's gonna happen, right? Like, I should get out of here before that happens. So the more you use negative language in your vocabulary, the more you're reinforcing this negativity bias, which pays more attention to the bad things that are happening in your space. Obviously, the negative list, let's try with another list and see what you think. How about that? Way better, right? I saw some smiling and some nodding. Way different. I feel lighter when I read this. I feel like a boost in my mood. Folks, this is low-hanging fruit. We use words every single day to speak to ourselves, to speak to other people, to communicate in general. This is our key to priming our brains to say, I care about the positive. I want the good stuff. I want to pay attention to the good stuff more than the bad stuff. It's a really awesome hack that you can start immediately. So, upgrading your vocabulary, low-hanging fruit. It's a numbers game. Neuroplasticity is about how often you do something. How often do you use words? Every day. Let's do it some more. So, pop quiz. This is Nerd Night after all. Just to recap, our tip number 1 was to understand your mind map so that you can make more conscious decisions about how you live your life. Tip number 2 is to do what you say so you can align your conscious desires with your subconscious because it runs most of your life and it will be your friend or your enemy. It's up to you. And finally, upgrade your vocabulary because it's a numbers game. This is low-hanging fruit. This is how we introduce more positivity into our lives, which is part of the reason I created what I call the Community Happiness Project. Thank you. Some of you are familiar with this. This is an interactive art installation in my front yard. Uh, there are many interactive things to do. One of the favorite things is our painted rocks here. We invite people to take one, put it in their yard, and pause and reflect on the things that make them happy, because it's a numbers game. I live in my neighborhood. I want nice things. I want my neighbors to have nice things. And this is one of the things I did to try to make that happen. This is just a small selection of the activities that go down at the Community Happiness Project. Obviously, kids are very interested in this spot, and I have a group of preteens that have chalked up my driveway many times with positive affirmations, words of strength, which is just amazing. I've seen plenty of adults here reconnect with their inner child via hula hoops, hopscotch, jump rope. It's been truly amazing. I only live 4 miles from here, friends. Come see me. If you're interested, you can scan this QR code. You can get access to my page about the Community Happiness Project, as well as my other offerings, such as one-on-one coaching, speaking services, and workshop facilitation. Nerd Night St. Pete, you deserve to be happy. And I hope that this presentation has gotten you a little closer to that goal. So excited to hear your questions. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Yes. All right, what questions do we have? We got a question over here. Big hand up.
First, just a comment about the way that the negative. 45 years ago, when I was in the Navy, an F-16 jet jockey said, remember, no matter how many attaboys you get, one whole ship wipes them all out. But my question is, you're mentioning about the evolution of thousands of years of evolution of the brain. What do you think about AI?
The question is about AI. Yeah, this is why we need to evolve, my friends. We do have this very strong instinct to look at the bad thing, to look at the scary thing, to expect the worst from people and things, and that's really no fault of our own. It is our programming. But now that you know about it, you have the option to start to notice. Start to notice what emotions are being evoked in you. What language are people using to speak to you, even if it's AI? Are they using positively coded language, negatively coded language? Is it trying to tell you how you should feel? So it really helps to build self-awareness to live in this world that is rife with fast-changing technology. Great question. What else do we got? Yes, sir.
When it comes to language, is it better to verbalize, write, or read, or are they all the same?
That's a great question. The question is when it comes to language, is it better to verbalize, write, or read? I would say it's a package deal, right? In a neuroscience perspective, the more modalities you can hit, the better. So you have visual, you have auditory, you have kinesthetic. And visual is about looking at the word, seeing the word. I like to have an enriched environment in my house. I like to have things in my space that make me happy, including phrases and words. And I love the Gary King happiness signs. He's a big inspiration of mine. His signs feature at the Community Happiness Project. But speak to yourself too. That's more of an auditory modality, and feel it. Feel the words, let yourself feel it, and then that will help you solidify it even better. Question over here.
Where's the community that you mentioned that has the most positive thoughts?
Oh, it was a study done in the University of North Carolina, and they were studying the students there. So they pulled in a population of people. I don't remember exactly the study size, but they had them take a series of tests and questions, and they graded their ratio based on the responses to those questions, and then observed them and interviewed them about how are you dealing with classes, how are you dealing with stress, and that's how they found that smaller population of people that just had this natural inclination to look on the sunny side. Sorry, we got the mic moving here, but I'll take your question while we're. The question is, do I think happiness is contagious? Hell yes. Hell yes. When I came up here, I said, it's amazing to be here and lovely to see your beautiful faces. And that was my attempt to get you excited and to feel warm about what I'm about to say, because I genuinely feel that. And when you are using more positive language and when you are focusing on things that are going right, you're influencing other people, you're signaling to other people it's possible. So 100%. And that should be a goal, in my opinion, to be contagious in the happy way. Question back here.
Can you tell us how being thankful affects happiness?
Oh, yeah, gratitude. So there was a hot mention of happiness cards. I create these little laminated best practices cards for happiness. One of them is count your blessings, not your curses, because it's a numbers game, right? The more you're grateful, the more you're building that neuroplasticity to favor. I am going to focus on things that make me happy, things that are good in my life, things that enrich my life. So by having a gratitude practice, I have an aunt who taught me a really cool one, which is just to, anytime something good happened, to write it on a piece of paper, put it in a jar, and then as a New Year's ritual, go through and look at all the things that made you happy and that were good in your life throughout the year to remind yourself to get away from this negativity bias, to be like, look at this bounty. So gratitude is a great tool. Back here.
Hi, I read a paper a little while back that had to do with the negativity thing with children, and it basically had to do with the parents and how they interacted with the child, and it boosted their confidence, and they were more flourishing children that way.
Yeah.
I was curious, like how that carries on into adulthood.
Oh, we are children, folks. you know, people talk and joke about going to therapy. They don't want to talk about their childhood. You got to talk about your childhood. You just have to. I'm sorry. It's where everything started. I mean, the fact that our mind maps are founded on the first 5 years of data says a lot. So if you had a disorganized childhood or you had a trauma, that's going to express throughout your entire life. It's going to follow you. And that's why it's so important to know your mind map, because while it might have happened to you and you certainly can't change the past, you can change your brain and you can tell yourself a story that's much better, that says, look, that was awful that happened to me. That was unnecessary and unfair, but I'm an adult now. I make my own choices and I'm going to make good choices for me. Last question, back here.
Hello. How do you maintain positivity in the face of tragedy?
I have, unfortunately, personal experience with this lately. It was mentioned in my intro, I lost my sister this year to suicide, which is, it's a 1-2 punch. She really suffered through her life. She did not want to be here for much of it. And we did everything that we could to make it a place that she would want to stick around for. But like so many things in life, you can't control other people, other things. And so you've got to give yourself grace. You got to rest. You got to feel your feelings, because if you don't, feelings buried alive survive. They don't go anywhere. And then you got to give yourself that time to come back. Give yourself that grace in that mourning period. But know, always look and know that there's a brighter side. There's a way forward. So it's about keeping your eye on the prize and also being kind to yourself, and support. Community is key when it comes to recovering from trauma, adversity, or other bad happenstance. So great questions, my friends. That was my last one. I'm so excited to hear the rest of these speakers. I appreciate you so much. Have a great one. Thank you.
That was very heartfelt,
Thank you.
personal. Thank you, Adam. That was awesome.